What's going on, guys, and welcome to episode 307 of #AskGSM here today for Wednesday, October 16th, my brother's birthday, 2019. Hope you guys are doing well. We have a bit of a shorter show here today than usual just because I got to get going within the next half an hour. So I'm going to really rush through these questions, and I apologize because we got a lot of great questions and a lot of questions just in general this week. But I do have to rush through them a bit quicker than usual. So again, I apologize in advance to the point where I didn't even have time to put the questions in a document the same way I usually do before I start recording here. So when I read through your questions momentarily, that's probably the first time I'm reading through them. Usually if I see the hashtag, I'll, like the tweet, I'll scan or skim through them quickly when I first see the questions on Tuesday night. But other than that, I have yet to really read through them and generate answers. So if I have a tough time answering your question right off the bat, I apologize. But anyway, if you want to send in a question to the show, you can do so by tweeting me on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant with the hashtag AskGSM. Find me on Facebook at facebook.com/graham.gsm.matthews. Leave a question on the post I usually put up on Tuesday nights, if not on the wall itself. And last but certainly not least, drop your question down below in the comment section of this very video. I'll include it in next week's edition. So without further ado, let's start with the YouTube questions first. First from Elena the Y. Their first question was, in between being busy with life and wrestling, I've been trying to figure out how to feel about WWE's latest new era. And ultimately, I just don't think it's good. It seems like they're still waiting to hit some indeterminable future reset button, but it won't actually be pressed until after Survivor Series, where they get their ham-fisted brand supremacy angle out of the way. Even then, it'll become December, which always loses steam because holiday season. Do we just assume things will finally get interesting when the Royal Rumble happens? No, and I think I've said this before here on the show multiple times over the years, but I hate this notion that, the fall doesn't matter because the Royal Rumble season is really where everything happens. Let's just wait till January for the product to get better. I hate that mindset from fans. I hate that mindset from WWE because it doesn't always get better for WrestleMania season. Name me the last truly exciting WrestleMania season this company's put on. The last couple years, and I've been to the last couple WrestleManias, have not been that exciting. The WrestleManias have been very good for the most part. The road to WrestleManias have been far from exciting. So I hate this notion where, the product's going to get better. I'm not saying that you're saying that, but a lot of fans think, it doesn't really matter that the product sucks right now, where it's, it doesn't really matter what they do if they hit the reset button now or in January on the 1st, whatever. It's like, literally, it's the exact same thing. The best analogy I can use in this case is those people who like to wait until January 1st to start New Year's resolutions, which is great. I'm all for New Year resolutions. But those New Year's resolutions that you're doing on January 1st every year should be starting now. What's different between October 16th and January 1st? The day of the year may change, the calendar may change, but you don't change unless you make that change. Same thing with WWE. In their mind, if they're thinking, it doesn't really matter what we do in the fall because WrestleMania is right around the corner and we could really just put all the effort into our product at that point, why wait till then? Why not just start now? I hate that notion, especially now that they're going head-to-head with football. They shouldn't just roll over and die, and it doesn't really feel like they are. They are trying to generate, better ratings with the drafts and season premieres and stuff like that, bigger matches on their weekly shows, and that's good, but they have to maintain the momentum. They can't just have one really good week, that being last week or the week before with the season premieres and shit. They can't have one really good newsworthy week and then just forget about the rest until the end of the year. I hate that notion, so hopefully that's not the case, and hopefully that's not what they're going for heading into WrestleMania season. Their second question, my mom grew up an NWA fan, so she was excited to see something like NWA Powerrr exist. The biggest compliment I can give it is that it evokes the old school feeling without directly trying to mimic the era or end up feeling like a parody of itself. It simply feels like a continuation of a thing you didn't even know existed, didn't even think existed anymore. I saw somebody describe it as finding a flock of dodo birds in your backyard like they were live there, or that like they lived there, and nothing is wrong. Interesting analogy, I guess. How would you describe NWA Powerrr? I really enjoy the show. I'm not sure if I talked about it in great detail last week here on Hashtag, but I really enjoyed the premiere. I showed it to Alexis, and she has told me many, many times she's not a big wrestling fan in the sense that she's not going to go to a show and watch it just for the great matches. She likes to know about the characters, what makes, X person X tick. Why should she care about this character, which I completely agree with. She is more of a storytelling person. I'm a bit of an everything person. I love the wrestling, but if I don't have a reason to care about the match, then why would I give a shit? Case in point, Joey Janela, Kenny Omega from Dynamite last week, unsanctioned. Not from Dynamite, excuse me, from AEW Dark last night. I saw it at Dynamite in Boston last Wednesday. Very good match. Why the fuck should I care? Joey Janela's been a perennial loser since showing up in AEW. All the guy does is hardcore matches. Yeah, they pulled off some cool spots, but there was no reason for that match to happen, let alone for the match to be unsanctioned. It ruins the stipulation when there's no meaning behind it. And I'm glad they're making their main event-like show better than main event by putting on more, notable matches. But just throwing together two notable names in an unsanctioned match for no real reason does nothing for me. NWA Powerrr so far from the 2 episodes they've put on had made me care and gotten me familiar with people I didn't already know. What's his name? Ricky Starks, who debuted on last night's show. Guy comes across like a star. Alexis was kind of previously familiar with James Storm, mostly Eli Drake, a little bit with Nick Aldis, and now she knows who they are thanks to NWA Powerrr. I like the fact that it's a throwback. I like the fact that if nothing else, it's different, and different isn't always good. Don't be different for the sake of being different. But in this case, different is good because it's different than everything else out there right now. It's a simple show, only runs about an hour. The matches are, they're solid, but they're not the main focus. If matches are your thing, this is probably not the show for you. Characters are their strong point. That's their strong suit so far, promos especially. So I'm really liking the show. So I'm not really sure how I can describe it in one word aside from just throwback, but refreshing might be the best way for me to sum it up. Just because the show is such a breath of fresh air compared to everything else out there right now. And there's a lot of different wrestling promotions, and I enjoy them all for the most part. But you gotta strive to be different. If I see a WWE 2.0, I'm not gonna give a shit and I'm not gonna watch. Because I already get enough of that on Mondays and Tuesdays and every other day, or Mondays and Fridays and every other day in between. So I'm glad NWA Powerrr is a thing, and I implore everyone to check it out if they haven't already. All right, from there we'll move into the Twitter questions, and again, I don't have much time, so I really got to buzz through a lot of these questions. It's going to be the speed round here today, so I apologize again in advance. At Brett Bullet 10 with NWA speaking of NWA, focusing more on character storytelling and promos instead of being a spot fest. Will that help the NWA stand out from all the other wrestling companies out there right now? Yes, absolutely. And it already has. NWA Powerrr, I think, generated more praise and more buzz, really, than any other promotions out there that aired last week on TV. I thought it got more praise and got more buzz than Dynamite, Raw, SmackDown, maybe not combined, but NXT too. I thought NWA was a great, great show last week. I don't know if they can survive off that platform, off that formula of airing on YouTube. I think it's convenient, and I love the fact that it airs on YouTube. I talked about that last week here on the show. I love the fact that it airs on YouTube. It's very convenient, 6:05. It's not at fucking 11 o'clock. If it was late enough, I definitely would not watch it. Yeah, and I could always watch it the next day, but it's hard to catch up when people are busy and stuff is going on. So I'm glad that it airs, at a very decent time, at a reasonable time on a Tuesday evening. It's quick, it's easy to watch, and if you watch it after it airs live, you can just skip through all the commercials and whatever else you want, which I think is great. But yeah, so hopefully they can continue to stand out. Again, I don't know if they can survive off the formula of airing on YouTube. I'm not sure what the ad revenue money is from that and whatever. Financially, I'm not sure if it's going to stick. They will probably need a TV deal at some point. But for right now, I think it's a formula that works. It's simple, it's short, it's sweet, and it's enjoyable. So, again, hopefully they can kind of stick to that and remain different and, definitely anything different than anything else out there at the moment. Hopefully they can remain, buzzworthy and they can maintain this momentum going forward. At noob_n_co 1991, their question was, or a couple questions really, what feuds do you want to see for the new rosters on Raw and SmackDown? Well, who will Becky feud with for the Raw Women's Championship, Asuka or Charlotte Flair? What is your overall opinion on this year's draft and any free agents from the draft that are going to, which free agents are going to which brand? So you sent that last question in last night. They have since announced on Twitter, on WWE The Bump, whatever that show is, they air on their social media platforms, that all the undrafted people that were eligible anyway, aside from AOP, for whatever reason they weren't drafted, there's probably some sort of storyline reason behind that, they were not drafted, but everyone else was. Such, for example, the Iconics went to Raw. Cesaro, unfortunately, went to SmackDown. I thought he might go to NXT. It's sadly not. Luke Harper went to SmackDown. Mojo Rawley, No Way Jose went to Raw. So you can check out .com for that. I should have an article up some point today breaking down my analysis on each pick. So stay tuned for that from the Night 2 of WWE Draft. Night 1, the analysis was up a couple days ago on the website, nextwrestling.net. But anyway, for the Raw Women's Championship, I would rather see Becky versus Asuka. There's a lot of unfinished business there. Becky and Charlotte, we've seen a million times before. And also, from what storyline reason would Charlotte Flair deserve a title shot? She just lost to Becky Lynch clean on this Monday's Raw. Plus, it's a feud we've seen a million times before, and Becky has proven time and time and time again, whether it was at Hell in a Cell last year, Evolution, WrestleMania, what have you, that she is better than Charlotte Flair. She's beaten Charlotte every fucking time they faced off for the most part, except for Money in the Bank, and that reign lasted all of 2 minutes before Bayley cashed in and beat Charlotte for the belt. So Asuka, or rather, Charlotte should be out of the equation for right now. Asuka and Becky is the better bet. What feuds do I want to see with the new rosters for Raw and SmackDown? Asuka and Becky Lynch being one. Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan, I know currently, I guess, they're kind of both baby faces, but at some point I would love to see that as a full-fledged feud on SmackDown to kind of, carry off what they were doing years ago on Raw, like before WrestleMania 31. I would really have to look at the new rosters to tell you what feuds I want to see. Aleister Black versus AJ Styles, I think would be awesome over the United States Championship. Buddy Murphy's on Raw, Cedric's on Raw. Buddy Murphy versus Styles at some point would be also really cool. Seth Rollins versus Drew. It's a feud we've kind of seen before, but, it would make sense. Kevin Owens is on Raw, maybe KO and Drew McIntyre is an option as well. There's Raw's a pretty stacked roster, as does SmackDown, so we'll see how it shakes out. And then what's my overall opinion on the WWE Draft for 2019? I thought it started out well enough, but it really went down the fucking toilet on Monday. Just with the way they did things. They would announce draft picks on the website without really explaining how they ended up on one brand or the other. People that were eligible Friday got drafted on Monday in the draft. Cesaro was drafted in like the fucking 20th round on the website on Wednesday today. Makes absolutely no sense. Just a lot of missed opportunities with this year's draft. I thought it was, I like the format, but of course WWE will take something that doesn't really, work, that does work, and just fuck it up somehow. And I thought that was kind of the case with this year's draft. At Iwagu91, their first question was, did you know that Shima took Ricochet under his wing and sees him like a brother? No, I did not know that. I had no idea they had any prior friendship. That's pretty cool. His second question, has Seth Rollins versus The Fiend surpassed Undertaker versus Goldberg as the worst WWE match of the year thus far? That's a great question. I would argue yes, just because I never really expected Goldberg and Taker to be that good anyway. That match was just embarrassing because it was two old guys going out there. Oh, it was the heat. The match sucked, people. It fucking sucked, okay? Rollins and The Fiend, people had high hopes for, and that could have been a good match, but that was in WWE's hands. Granted, the first match was too with Goldberg and Taker. They opted to book the match. But with Rollins and The Fiend, that could have been a really good match had they booked it that way. But they didn't. They went the angle, they went in the direction they did, and it fucking sucked. And the finish was the absolute worst finish I've seen on WWE pay-per-view all year, and one of the worst finishes they've ever done, period. It was that bad. And Rollins is still feeling the backlash from fans because of that finish from last Sunday. So, absolutely, Rollins and The Fiend is the worst match of the year, I would think, so far for WWE over Taker and Goldberg. At Jeremy8911, thoughts on Humberto and Tozawa to Raw, and then Drew Gulak to SmackDown, and who would you like to see them feud with? Daniel Bryan threw out the possibility of Bryan and Gulak. I think that'd be pretty cool. Not sure it's going to happen, but I think it'd be awesome. Tozawa and Humberto, they'll probably feud with Mojo Rawley and No Way Jose on main event. Like, seriously, I love the guys. I'm a big Tozawa fan, and the Carrillo's really good. But I really do not see them doing anything on Raw outside of main event. They have enough talent as it is. I highly doubt that that will be used in any meaningful manner anytime soon on the Raw roster. I would love to be wrong, but that's just my gut feeling. In a perfect world, if they're not going to be teaming, which Raw does need more teams, the entire company needs more tag teams between Raw and SmackDown. If they're not going to team, I know Ricochet and Tozawa have a friendly chemistry. They have history. Maybe they could put them together. I'm not really sure. Tozawa and Cruz should have ended up on the same brand because they could have been a tag team because they have a really good friendship outside of the ring, but whatever. Carrillo, I have no idea. Maybe Carrillo and Rey Mysterio. I honestly have no idea. Iwagu again, 91 from Twitter. Your thoughts on the Young Bucks putting over Private Party in the second episode of AEW Dynamite? RJ and Alexis and I were there. We had a great time. Awesome match. By far the match of the night. Fantastic stuff. I kind of figured Private Party would go over. The Young Bucks had no real reason to advance in that thing, let alone win the entire thing. So why not just lose in the first round to a team they've beaten before? They've proven they're superior to the Young Bucks, or the Young Bucks have rather proven they're superior to Private Party in the past. That's a tongue twister. So why not put them over on this one occasion? So I'm glad they did. Awesome match. Private Party gained a lot. They were super over in Boston. From someone who was there, I could tell you they were really over last Wednesday night. The crowd was definitely split. It was not 80-20 Young Bucks Private Party. It was more 50-50, if not more, in favor of Private Party because they're fresher faces, and I'm glad they won. They are made stars after that. They are made men coming out of that win on Wednesday Night Dynamite. At Jeremy8911 again, am I the only one that still thinks Bray Wyatt is going to be moved back to Raw and beat Seth for the Universal Championship, a crown jewel, on Halloween? I don't think so, because if so, then why not just move him to Raw in the first place? I thought he might get drafted. I guess Raw could say, Rollins is the Universal Champion, or rather, Wyatt's the Universal Champion, and we said, when we traded away Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross for no real reason, where we wasted 2 draft picks on people that we didn't even want. We just wasted these 2 draft picks on them. And then we're going to take, Wyatt because we gave you those girls. I don't know. Then why not just do that trade on Wednesday? If they traded Alexa and Nikki for Bray Wyatt, then that's fine. But they didn't do that. So I felt like, again, if they were going to move Bray Wyatt to Raw, they would have done so already. I guess they could always take him back after he wins the championship. But again, I feel like if they were going to have him win the Universal Championship, he would have done so already at Hell in a Cell. Why not just do it at the pay-per-view? Do they really want Rollins that bad to be champion going into the draft? I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but I highly doubt Bray Wyatt would win the championship in Saudi Arabia. I hope he will. I don't want to see the guy lose, but I think he loses, and then they're done with Bray Wyatt as a Universal Championship contender. Then it's only downhill from there, unfortunately for him. I really got to speed through the next couple questions. At Reborn again, that Lana and Lashley segment on Raw. Just why? That's my question, too. It was fucking dumb. I don't know what they're doing with that. It has Paul Heyman's fingerprints all over it. If that's what we're going to get, if that's what we're going to have to get used to with Paul Heyman writing Raw, then I have no interest in Paul Heyman serving as the executive director of Monday Night Raw, because that shit is fucking terrible. His next question, John Ritland's next question here. With how well NWA Powerrr is doing at the moment, and yes, I know it's still early, could you see other promotions doing or going the studio route to cut costs, have a hot crowd for every show, etc.? I don't think so, and I hope not. I mean, again, it's not a feasible financial, route to take, I think. Billy Corgan has a lot of money. Maybe they can, afford it for now. I'm sure Impact couldn't afford doing that, as it is with their current situation. I think it's special because NWA Powerrr is the only show out there that's doing it. If Impact started doing it, Ring of Honor, it really wouldn't work as well because that's just not their vibe. And B, it just wouldn't be as special. So I don't think so. I think that's an NWA thing. Keep it with them. Everyone else should just keep doing what they're doing or just do something else. You can't copy what other people are doing. It just doesn't work. At Reborn again, what are the odds that this current WWE draft turns out to be a lot of noise and pointless moves? There's a very good chance. I mean, nothing will change unless something changes at the top creatively. They had Ryan Ward writing SmackDown at the beginning of the year. They had Bischoff apparently writing SmackDown for a few months, did nothing, got fired. Now they have Bruce Pritchard in the role. They've had 3 people writing SmackDown in 2019 alone. What the fuck is going on over there? They clearly have no idea what they're doing, so until they start to take this brand split seriously, until I start to see that, none of this makes a fucking lick of a difference. At RJ_Marceau, his question here is, are you afraid of the potential faction wars in AEW? Should AEW focus on singles feuds instead of all these tag team matches? Is Tegan Nox the one to dethrone Shayna Baszler as the NXT Women's Champion? No, I'm not a big fan of the faction wars in AEW. If they want to do it for right now to establish certain people like Sammy Guevara and Jake Hager, I'm fine with it. Beyond that, though, no real interest. Hopefully it's short-lived. Do one big multi-man match at an upcoming pay-per-view and have that be it. Hopefully they can focus more on singles feuds and give me more of a reason to care about people outside of the Elite in upcoming episodes of Dynamite. And I would love to see Tegan Nox be the one to dethrone Shayna as the NXT Women's Champion. I thought it might be Dakota, but then she lost to fucking Bianca Belair last week, so I'm not really sure. It could be Rhea Ripley, who would also be a fine choice, but Tegan Nox would be probably even better because she has yet to be a champion yet anywhere, unlike Rhea in NXT UK. John's next question here, at Reborn again. What are your honest opinions on guys like Janela, Orange Cassidy, and Marco Stunt in AEW? I made it quite clear here on the show before, I am no fan of Marco Stunt. As part of the act with Jurassic Express, I guess it kind of works. The guy's a fucking loser, though. I mean, I'm sure he's a great kid, whatever. He's probably even younger than me. And he's fine, but I mean, it's just a joke. I don't take the guy seriously at all. I mean, he looks less athletic than me, and that's saying something, so I cannot take him seriously. I'm an Orange Cassidy guy. It's a guilty pleasure of mine, personally. I like Orange Cassidy, but that's, again, just me. Janela, I'm indifferent on. I like Joey Janela, but if he keeps on having hardcore matches, I honestly just don't give a shit. It's like fucking Abyss with the Monsters Ball matches in TNA. Credit to RJ for that reference last week at Dynamite when we were there, and he was bringing up how TNA used to have hardcore matches on the show every fucking week. And that's what it feels like AEW is doing currently. Janela's fine. He's got a branch outside of the hardcore bubble. If he was doing that on the indie scene, that's cute and all, but it's national TV. You can't do that every single fucking week. I like Orange Cassidy. As a wrestler, I have no idea what to expect from him, but the whole best friends thing I like. Marco Stunt, I have no regard for whatsoever. As part of the Jurassic Express thing, he's fine, but other than that, I just could not care less about the guy. At Scarlet 1, as we wrap up here, best and worst of the Wednesday Night Wars, number 2. Yes, this is probably going to become a routine question. I thought Dynamite was the better show last week, and I am biased because I was there, but the opening match on Dynamite was great. The main event was really, really good. Jericho's promo was great. The worst of it, the women's match was not good on that show, really not at all. That was really the only knock I would have on that show last week from Dynamite. NXT... the show wasn't great. Breezango, I mean, it was a good show, but Breezango and Forgotten Sons is an easy skip. Who gives a shit? I forgot what else even happened, but the main event was great. Kushida and Walter was a great match, and the opener was great too, with Lio Rush becoming the new Cruiserweight champion after beating Drew Gulak. Their next question, ever notice how unlike other Wrestling World Championship belts, the NWA World Heavyweight Championship has the same design it had from the old era? I did notice that. I think that's really, really cool. I think it adds to the nostalgic throwback feel of the show, and it's a really nice-looking championship, too. So I'm glad they're sticking with that design, and it fits Nick Aldis to a T. And finally, from at Scarlet 1, do you think The Fiend should have been challenging for the Universal Championship in the first place, given WWE's insistence on protecting both men? It begs the question why WWE would book Rollins and Wyatt if they're not willing to go all the way with The Fiend at Seth's expense. I completely agree. Why book the fucking match if you're not going to put the belt on The Fiend? It's so stupid. It's so fucking stupid. You had to know there was a draft coming up. You had to know Wyatt might go to SmackDown. Why would you do the match if you didn't want to have him win? If they were so insistent on having Wyatt win, he would have won the match regardless of what brand he was going to. He would have won. It's fucking dumb that he didn't. So, yeah, WWE deserves all the blame there for booking the match in the first place. The finish sucked. If you were going to do that shit and then do a rematch in Crown Jewel, which will likely have an equally atrocious ending if they really want to protect both men, it's just fucking dumb. So again, with Rollins and with Bray Wyatt, they should have never booked that match in the first place if they were never going to put the championship on Bray Wyatt. And I fear for Bray Wyatt coming out of Crown Jewel because I don't think he's walking out of that pay-per-view as the Universal Champion either. On that note, guys, we're going to wrap it up here today for episode 307 of AskGSM. Thank you guys for bearing with me through today's rapid-fire edition of AskGSM. We should be back to normal next week, but no joke, I've been busy non-stop since I went to Dynamite last week. That set me back by like a day. So hopefully by the end of today, I know we have NXT and Dynamite a little later on today, and I'll be out all weekend this weekend. Actually, for my brother's birthday today, he has his parents' weekend this weekend. So I'm going to go visit him this weekend from Friday through Sunday up in Syracuse, New York. So I'll be gone all weekend. So hopefully that doesn't set me back too much either. I got to catch up before then, though, which is why I'm really going quickly through today's episode. But that's neither here nor there. Hopefully, we should be back to normal next week here on the show. Until then, though, guys, you can send in questions to the show by tweeting me on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant with a hashtag AskGSM. Find me on Facebook at facebook.com/graham.gsm.matthews. Leave a question on the post I usually put up on Tuesday nights, if not on the wall itself. And last but certainly not least, drop your question down below in the comment section of this very video. I'll include your question in next week's edition. So until next time, guys, have a great rest of your week. Try to enjoy it. I'm Graham GSM Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.